Maxime Bernier led all night long. How is it that Andrew Scheer ended up winning?
Well, Maxime Bernier didn't have enough of a lead at the beginning in order to hold off Andrew Scheer, because Andrew Scheer was a more of a consensus second, third, fourth, potentially even more than that choice, because it went all to the final ballot, that 13th ballot, and at that point Andrew Scheer surpassed Maxime Bernier. He did it for a number of reasons. One, he got a good first ballot result. He ended up at just under 22%. There was strong support for Brad Trost and Pierre Lemieux, two social conservatives, and a lot of their votes ended up going to Andrew Scheer. Because social conservatives played a pretty significant role in his leadership victory, it will be interesting to see how he will balance that consideration with the fact that he also got a lot of support from centrist voters who supported people like Michael Chong, Lisa Raitt, Aaron O'Toole.
And then one of the big surprises in the convention to me was how well Brad Trost and Pierre Lemieux did on the social conservative side, which said there's a 15 to 20% group of people in the party which are very concerned and they want to be able to be heard.
Now, some members of that cause might feel particularly confident following Saturday's leadership results. Staunch social conservatives and anti-abortion candidate Brad Trost surprised many by finishing fourth. And the Conservatives' opponents are making much of the fact that most of Mr. Trost's supporters then went on to help tip the balance for Andrew Scheer.
There were just more values voters. Values voters had a higher turnout rate, as they often do in races. So of the 259,000 people who could have participated, disproportionately folks who were values voters performed. And I think we're going to find out that they weren't rural and they weren't white. They were Southeast Asians and they were largely in urban areas in the greater GTA. I think Lemieux had the traditional pro-life support behind him, and Trost organized non-white new Canadian communities who happen to be pro-life and socially conservative, and Trost had the bigger turnout. I think there are a whole lot more Chinese Canadians and Southeast Asians. Look at where Trost won. Richmond Hill, Markham Unionville. These are not the grumpy old white religious person sitting in the middle of the prairies that we typify when we use social conservative as a shorthand. These are a new cohort of voters. The Chinese Canadians in particular stayed with the Conservatives. Marijuana is as big an issue as pro-life, pro-choice is. They don't want to see these types of social changes. So I think that's where Brad Trost really leapt over. Pierre Lemieux was organizing in a community of new Canadians.
Yeah, I would agree on the organizational front, and I also think Lemieux and Trost can walk away and tell the broader social conservative communities that they've had victory, because for the whole course of the race, they were able to talk about their issues.
Scheer narrowly edged out frontrunner Maxime Bernier on the last of 13 rounds of balloting that revealed the continuing strength of social conservatives within the party. The new ranked balloting system resulted in a far closer contest than anticipated. Bernier, as expected, led on the first ballot at 29%, with Scheer running a strong second. But the surprise was the level of support for social conservative MPs Brad Trost and Pierre Lemieux. Both had campaigned chiefly on their anti-abortion positions, both finishing much higher in the balloting than expected.
Brad Trost, a social conservative who surprised a lot of people tonight by performing so well, coming in fourth. And that shows that the voice of social conservatives in this party is quite loud. It's something Andrew Scheer is going to have to think about. He himself is thought of as a social conservative, but at the same time, he wants to preserve Stephen Harper's vision of not necessarily reopening questions like abortion and gay marriage.
People would ask me what the chances were for Andrew to have a victory, and I said there was a narrow path for victory. There was a path, but a narrow path, and a whole bunch of votes broke against Maxime as every ballot advanced, and especially one of the important things people are talking about is the social conservative movement and how those votes moved.
Andrew Scheer won because the socially conservative wing of this party flexed significant electoral muscle. As we watch ballot after ballot come in, the SoCon candidates, the one-issue guys, Pierre Lemieux and Brad Trost, finished very well. And as soon as Trost disappeared off the ballot, that was the bump that sent Scheer within points of Bernier, and he would eventually win.